Shocking statement. Federal agents found 419 kilos of meth hiding under fruit in Atlanta, and that was just one stop in a 1,585-pound shipment worth $22.5 million. The trucks looked clean. The paperwork looked clean. The produce was fresh. What broke the silence was a single K9 alert that confirmed a cartel-grade payload moving from Mexico to Georgia. Watch what happened next as dawn raids hit 2 Georgia addresses at once. Cash and fentanyl hit the table, and the network's playbook started to unravel. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. They rolled cold and quiet. 2 reefers heavy with blackberries and nothing out of line on paper. The drivers kept their hours clean. The seals matched. Temps locked at a steady chill. So why did anyone care before a bolt cutter showed up? Because the route whispered more than the freight. Agents had a breadcrumb trail from Texas drifting east into Georgia, tied to a corridor that rarely made noise and always hugged the clock. It started weeks earlier with nothing flashy. Warehouse pings, fuel stops that never lingered, and dispatch notes that recycled the same consignee details like a script. Cargo designed to be boring was doing a perfect job of it. Surveillance teams didn't chase hunches. They leaned on a long watch. License plate readers mapped entry and exit points on interstate ramps. Weigh station scans gave axle weights and timestamps 2 minutes apart from prior runs. Cell site data drew a ghost line between both trucks, showing parallel days and twin overnight holds. On paper, these were produce hauls on time pressure. In practice, the cadence looked rehearsed. One truck idled through a truck stop outside Birmingham at 2:17 a.m. The other paused 90 miles back at a rest area with the same 15-minute break, both pushing into an Atlanta delivery window that regular brokers loved because docks open early and forklifts move faster. Bills of lading offered no relief. They matched grower lots, farm codes, and pallet counts common to late-season berry shipments. Refrigeration units held constant. No temperature swings that might mean a door crack or a clumsy handoff. Stop patterns traced textbook produce runs. Fuel, food, sleep, weigh, roll. No shadow convoy to spook a trooper. No extra chase car to signal a nervous client. The kind of run you wave through because any delay means spoiled product and angry buyers. That was the shield. Perishables push officers to move fast, and cold air blunts any odor that would leak through gaskets or drain holes. Blind shipment rules added another layer. The drivers believed they were moving fruit. They had nothing useful to say because they didn't know anything beyond the pickup window and the drop address. That kills leverage at the roadside. You can't flip someone who has no map and no names. So investigators leaned harder on data and timing. They monitored call spikes around weigh stations, noted where dispatch chatter died when a truck hit a known choke point, and watched for the same lull at the same hour near a modest warehouse cluster north of Atlanta, a cross-dock zone that trades pallets long before sunrise. A prior seizure down that corridor had left a footprint, identical timing gaps, and a short idle behind a particular cold storage facility with fenced bays and a habit of accepting early arrivals. Analysts fed that pattern into their alerts. When these 2 units hit the same gaps at the same places, the system flagged them. Not because someone looked nervous, but because the schedule was too clean, the rhythm too exact, the consignee names too familiar for independent loads. Cold storage masked scent and bought them hours at any checkpoint. The berry label added the usual cover: fragile, time-sensitive, push it through. The K9 team wasn't staged on a gut feeling. It was there for the pattern. Uniform overnight holds, a repeat consignee, and a dispatch signature that had traveled with other suspect runs. At Hall County, handlers worked the exterior of the reefer. The dog moved the seam of the door, paused, worked back, and sat. One alert. That was the crack in the dam. A routine produce check turned into probable cause. No fireworks, no chase. Just a trained signal that unlocked a deeper look and forced the operation to stop pretending these trucks were standard freight. With probable cause in hand, the math changed. Time mattered more than the fruit. Agents had 2 addresses tied to the same delivery arc, and both sat inside a narrow distribution window. If they waited, the pallets would move, calls would multiply, and handlers would scramble the trail. So the plan shifted from watching to acting. 2 trucks, 2 sights, 1 clock. The reefers were still cold, the paperwork still neat, but the window had opened just enough to reach in before the load scattered and the next route picked up the slack. If cold fruit hides scent, how do you bury 1,585 pounds of crystal meth where no one looks, yet keep it reachable when it's time to move? You build a cargo that passes a glance and survives a pull. At Cooster Avenue, agents faced neat stacks of berry crates with farm codes that matched the manifest. Forklifts could roll, dock clocks could tick, and nothing would look odd. Under those crates sat uniform blocks, vacuum sealed and tight, the kind of packaging linked to large groups that value order. The story was in the symmetry. Identical dimensions, matching wrap. Every edge squared like a warehouse pallet plan. They couldn't rip into it like a TV bust. Random cuts ruin evidence and erase the way the load is built. That pattern matters. It ties one room to another state, one route to another week. So they mapped the packing logic before the first blade touched tape. Measure the crate depth, count the layers, sample every third unit, record serial markings and wrap colors. Bag trace material. Photograph seams and moisture barriers. It's slow when the clock wants fast, but upstream leads live in details. How many blocks per row? Which corner carries the first stack? Whether the upper layer uses a different film to throw off a casual check. The layout was a blueprint. Rows aligned to balance weight over the trailer axles. Heavier bricks centered, lighter toward the walls to keep the load from shifting on curves. A plastic sheet ran between produce and product to keep condensation from freezing onto the packages. The wrap came in 2 skins, an inner vacuum sleeve to lock in shape and an outer layer with a dull finish that doesn't flash under light. Corners were taped with a single angle fold, easy to slice open with one motion if a handler needed a sample, but tight enough to survive a bumpy road and a warehouse shove. Concealment mirrored warehouse efficiency. Predictable patterns that scale without chaos. If one crate hid 10 kilos, the pallet math told you the total long before a full unload. You could read the inventory like a ledger. Pallet A equals 5 crates deep, 2 layers, standard count. Extrapolate across a trailer and the numbers land close to the final weight. That consistency connected sites. When agents rolled on Macver Road in Hall County, the refrigerated truck there followed the same play. A trained K9 alerted, and inside they found 300 kilos arranged in the same uniform stacks, with the same vacuum seal and outer wrap. Different address, same system. The cold chain served as both shield and excuse. Reefer temps protect fruit from spoilage and protect product from heat damage, adhesion, and odor bleed. Chilled air slows off-gassing and mutes human detection. It also pressures quick clearance. Brokers push perishable loads through docks first. Inspectors feel the clock. Mixed SKUs add cover, too. A few pallets of berries from different lots. Maybe a couple of mixed containers at the rear. Complicate any quick inventory because short counts are normal in produce. That buys minutes. Minutes become hours when a dock plans a busy morning. As the Cooster crew worked crate by crate, the count climbed until the tally sat at 419 kilos from that site alone. The room carried more signals of a steady pipeline than a one-off gamble. A money counter on a side table. A commercial vacuum sealer that matched the wrap style in the load. Bundled cash. 2 Glock 19s within reach of a rolling chair. The kind of placement for someone who takes calls and watches cameras while others move pallets. Every piece supported the idea of a routine, not an experiment. Then came the curve. Alongside the meth, 21 kilos of fentanyl surfaced. Same disciplined packaging, same placement logic. That turned a single commodity seizure into a poly-drug node. Different market, same line haul, shared protection. For investigators, that meant more than extra weight. It signaled upstream consolidation and a risk calculus that favored shared trucks over separate moves. 1 reefer, 2 revenue streams, a tighter schedule, and a bigger loss if seized. Across both addresses, The evidence pointed to a standard: packaging, staging, temperature control, even the order in which pallets were meant to come off. With that proof on the floor, the next step wasn't about counting bricks. It was about finding the hands that built the rhythm and stopping them before the next load rolled under lettuce, flower buckets, or a mixed case of seasonal fruit. Why hit 2 addresses at once, and why at dawn? Because the same clock that protected the load could protect the people moving it. Dawn puts handlers on site, phones on chargers, and trucks parked where they can be boxed in. It narrows variables. When doors go down at the same minute, no one gets to warn the other end. That was the point. The window was tight. DEA, FBI, GBI, and Hall County deputies drew a line on the map and on the timeline. The reefers sat where surveillance said they'd sit. The handlers were still tied to their morning routine. Hit late and the pallets roll. Hit early and they're pinned to concrete. The teams split into entry elements and containment. Perimeter cars took the corners, blocking outbound lanes with angled bumpers and light bars kept low. Interdiction units floated near the trucks, close enough to move but not so close they spooked a driver into starting a tractor. Long guns covered the bay doors while the knock and announce ran tight and clear. The first seconds aimed at freezing the scene, not grabbing boxes. Drivers went first. They were walked away from the cabs and separated from phones and keys. That kept the reefers from moving and prevented a last-second call to a number that could kill data. Inside, the stack moved in a set order. Secure offices and storage rooms before anyone could hit a shredder or toss a phone in a utility sink. A runner's job in these places is simple: watch cameras, burn paper, and purge chat apps. So the push targeted the places where that happens. Copy room, break room, manager desk, bathroom ceiling tiles if the last crew had a hide. Evidence techs trailed with tubs and Faraday bags, sealing off devices before background apps could wipe threads. While that played out, a second team watched the pallets and verified seal numbers, timestamps on the reefer units, and dock sensor logs to match movement against the surveillance timeline.